What about now? Can you hear my voice and also see my screen? Can you hear the voice now? Let me know if you can hear my voice, then I can start right now. I had some challenges. I had to restart the device, but I think right now everything is fine. I would like to know if you can hear my voice. Anybody who have joined, you can indicate for me whether you can hear my voice or not. All right, thank you very much. Now we're gonna start right away. Um, like I said, today we are going to focus on the grade 12 term 1 study checklist, what you are expected to know, and then how to approach questions if you find yourself into such situation. Without wasting much time, I'm going to make use of this data file. I will share the link, and then you'll get a link also again after the lesson. It's written term 1, paper 1 study checklist. So I'm going to share it. So you can open that link, and then you will have some data files also. Yeah, so you can just copy the link, and then you have some data files. Right. So I will start with Microsoft Word. So you will see three files here: Excel, database, and Word. Then I have a few Word documents that I'm going to make use of them. Right. Starting with the page setup, focusing on the margins, the paper size, the page orientation, and adding. That's our first thing that we're going to look at. Also, page color and watermark in Microsoft Word. We will be looking at picture formatting and also manipulating different pictures and text. Field, we'll be looking at that. Paragraph formatting, columns, drop cap, styles, proofing language, page numbering, table, cover page, border, and then find and replace. If we have more time, we'll look at other things also. Then spreadsheet, we'll go through them. So without wasting my time, I will always take one example, but I will explain it into details. So without wasting much time, let me open two business plan. You can join me and then you open two business plan with me. Now, regarding this, I'm going to focus on the margins and then the page setup. So let's take, for instance, you get a question that says you must change the page setup. Now, there are several ways, I would say three ways of doing that. But then the one that I prefer most will be using the margins. So you can see the ruler settings here. If you don't have the ruler, you can go to view and then you take ruler. Now, when you double click anywhere in the ruler, it's going to give you the margins. So you can change the margin. Let's say we are setting the margin to top and then the bottom to 2 centimeter. We just type them 2. And then bottom also you change it to 2. Then let's say you want to change the left to 3 and then the right also to 3. So that's how you change it. Then we also have the gutter position and then the gutter. So maybe change the gutter to 1 centimeter and then the position to maybe top. So they can give you a question of this nature to change the margins and also change the position. Right. Then again, they can ask you to also change the orientation. You can change here whether line, portrait or landscape. Then whether you are applying it to a particular place, maybe where you have selected, or the whole document. Then still under the page setup, we have paper size, whereby they can ask you to change the paper size to either A4 or A3. Then we have the layout. Here under the layout, you must watch out for vertical alignment. So they can tell you to center the content vertically. That's vertical alignment, then you choose center. Again, under the page setup, we also have the line numbers. If you are asked to change or number the text, line numbers, maybe add line number automatically. Or they can ask you to change, make it to be continuous or restart each section. So the line numbers to be continuous or each section. Right. So that is the page numbering aspect, changing the page number, the margins, the line numbers, and then the gutter position, and then the vertical alignment. Right. Then we move on to the page color. We move on to page color and then the watermark. Please don't forget to bring your questions. If you have any questions, don't forget to bring them, and then I'm going to answer your questions. So I'll be reading your questions. If you have any questions, don't forget to bring them. Right. Now the page color and then the watermark. You can also get a question whereby they ask you to change the page color. Now, to change the page color, you can use the search tool, which will tell me what to do. Then you say page color, which would give you straight to page color. Or you can just say color, or you can go to design, and then you see page color. Now, when you go to page color, in grade 12, they normally ask you to change the page color or remove the page color. But then what they always ask is this one, which is fill effect. Then they can ask you to change the color to maybe 2 colors. Maybe the colors will be these 2 colors, and then diagonal up or diagonal down. Then they can also ask you to change the texture color with a specific texture color or the pattern style. So you have to watch out for the page colors, how to change the page colors to the gradient fill or to a pattern style. You get it from page color. Now, if you get a question whereby they have already given you the page color and they are asking you to remove it, you just go there and choose no color. That is how we remove the page color. Then also watermark. In grade 12, watermark questions, you can get a picture watermark, the normal watermark, but then anytime you get a normal watermark, they will ask you to insert the watermark on a specific page. Or alternatively, they can ask you to also insert a watermark by using a symbol. So I'm going to start with the watermark using a symbol. Let's take, for instance, we want to insert wedding 82 as a text watermark. So the first thing that you need to do is to insert the watermark, or sorry, to insert the symbol. So you go to insert. Now we need to insert symbol that is called webdings, and then the character code, let's say 234. Then you click on insert. Now, after you have inserted the symbol, you need to cut it. Now, when you cut it, it's going to go to clipboard content. So we now have to go and paste it. So we now go to watermark, and you can insert watermark by one, either using design or by using the search, then you say watermark. Now, when you go to watermark, you'll find custom watermark. And then we are going to use the text watermark. Then you delete ASAP, and then you paste it. Now, when you paste it, remember the font says Calibri. So meaning that if you click on apply, it's going to give you that symbol in Calibri, which in effect, you're not going to get the right symbol. So you have to change the font to Webdance again. And then maybe the size, you want the size to be 800. Then maybe the color to be red. And then you click on apply. So now you see the watermark inserted everywhere. But take note, let's say we don't want this particular watermark to be on the first page. If you don't want the watermark on the first page, that is easier. All that you do is double click on the footer section or the header section of the first page, and then you take different first page. Now, as soon as you take different first page, meaning that you are creating a section break. In other words, to separate the first page from the rest of the pages. So what you do here is that after you have taken different first page, then you go and select the watermark. Make sure that your footer section is activated. Then you go and click on the watermark on the first page. Then you press delete. Now you can see there's no watermark on the first page, but the other pages are watermark. So what about we don't want the watermark to be on, let's say, the last page? If you don't want the watermark to be on the last page, then you have to create the section break. You have to create a section break over here, meaning that the last but one page, which is page 4, you go there. After the last sentence, then you go to layout, breaks, and then you choose continuous break. Then when you do that, double click on the header of the last page, and then you must remove this link to previous. You have to deactivate the link to previous, both the header and the footer. You have to remove link to previous so that that last page is not having any kind of connection with the other pages. Then after that, you can now go and click on the other pages, the watermark over there on other pages, and press delete key. So it will be deleted from the rest of the pages, but the last page will have the watermark. So take note, if you want the watermark to be on a specific, you need to create the section break. But then I will advise you, even if in the examination or your test, and then you are struggling, please still insert the watermark. At the end of the day, you are going to lose only 1 mark. So take note of that. Right. Then again, that's all about watermark. So I will check from the comment section if there's how to make watermark on a specific page. Yeah, that's what I just said. You need to put what we call the section break so that you see now it's only on the last page. Now, what about if the watermark, let me close that document and open again. Let's say that watermark is, we want the watermark to be only on this page, which is page 2, and the rest of the pages will not have watermark. So I'm going to insert the normal watermark. Let me say draft watermark. Then I don't want it to be on all other pages, but only to be on page 2. So meaning that page 2 over here should be separated. This page here should be separated from other pages. So how do I do that? I have to do what you call section break. So I will click on top of the that page 2, and then I'll go to layout, breaks, then I choose continuous. Then I go again at the bottom of that page 2, layout, breaks, and then I choose continuous. So now separated this page from the rest of the pages. But then you are not done yet. You are not done yet. If, let's say, you were to put this one only as landscape, then you can easily go there and choose landscape. But then we want the watermark to only be on this page. So meaning we have to remove, we go to the header, and then we have to deactivate link to previous. And then you do the same for footer, deactivate link to previous. Now, meaning we have separated page 2 from page 1. But then we are not done yet. Page 3 must also be deactivated, which is section 3. So you click there and then you choose link to previous. You have to deactivate. And then you deactivate the footer of section 3 also. Why? That because we are separating section 3 from section 2, which will include the watermark. And then we also separate section 2 from section 1, which is the very first page. Now, after that, I can now go to this page and click on the watermark, delete. Then I'll go to the other section also, click on the watermark, you press delete. Now, you cannot click on the watermark if the header and footer is not activated. So you can see the watermark is only on section 2, but the other sections do not have watermark. Right. So that's how we insert watermark on a specific page. If there's no question, I'll put. Yes, you can put continuous break, or you can put what you call the next page. The only difference is that the next page, most cases, will create a new page. So that is why I prefer the continuous section break. Right, let's move straight to the picture formatting. Then after that, we go to fill. Somebody asked a question about um, page numbers. We will do that. We will try as much as possible to cover the entire um, topic outline. But I'm not going to spend much time on it. Some of them, I will just spend few minutes. So I will go to picture formatting. Under the picture formatting, inserting the picture, cropping to shape, and then the picture layer, and then the grouping. That's what we are going to do. I will not spend much time there. From there, I go to fill, and then the columns. Right. So you must bring your questions. Let's say I want to insert a picture and image over here. So I have the image here, which is logo. Now, if you are inserting logo, the easier way you can do drag and drop. I click on the image, then you drag it, then you come and place it where you must put the image, like this. Instead of it to go to insert picture, select it, sometimes let us even get confused. Where can I find the picture from my folder? So just do drag and then you drop it, the image will be there. Okay. Now, when you have this image, if they ask you to change the size of the image, whenever you click on the image, you will see picture format. And then under the picture format, you're going to find the picture size. So if they ask you to change the size, you click on this arrow. Now it's going to give the layout. Now, if you want to have the exact size, then you need to make sure that log aspect ratio is unchecked. Why doing things so? Aspect ratio is the relationship between the width and the height, as you know in theory. So meaning whatever you change in the width will also be changed for the height automatically. So when you remove log aspect ratio, you can now change your specific height, let's say 10, and then the width to also be 10. Then okay, so that you can have a specific height, as you can see here. Right, again, regarding image, if you want to move an image around, you need to change the layout option. If you click on the image, you will see layout option. And then let's say you want the image, the square or type, you click on it. Then you can now move the image around. Wherever you want to put the image, you can now move it around. If you don't change the layout option like that, you cannot do that. Again, the layout option, you can put the image to be behind text so that the image will be behind your text, as you can see here. You can move the image to also maybe to the right, like here. Then you have to choose any of these. Now, regarding image, you can get the question whereby they ask you to change the border of the image. When you click on it, you see picture format, and then you see picture border. You can change the border, maybe 3pt weight, and then the picture border color also, let's say to red. So you can manipulate the images like that. Again, regarding the image, we have the picture style, adjusting the images. So they can ask you to recolor the image to a color saturation or color tone or recolor, and each of them has a name. Now, let's say color saturation and you don't get a specific color saturation, like here is 100%, here is 200. But then if the question says, change the color saturation to 120%, then you need to come here and then choose picture color options so that you can now find the color saturation and change the percentage over here. Let's say to 120%. So we also have the transparency and then the cropping. You can do that also here. Hey, don't forget the cropping part. They can ask you to have a specific width and height for the cropping, and then also the picture position. Again, regarding images, one interesting part is cropping to shape. You crop to a specific shape. Let's say I'm cropping to the heart shape, so that to change to heart shape, or cropping to another shape. So they can give you a screenshot, then they ask you to design it so that it looks as you can see from the screenshot. Then again, regarding the cropping, they can give you an aspect ratio of the cropping. So you must watch out for that. Or filling under the cropping also, they can ask you that. But then you must make sure that you know how to crop to shape. So basically, this is what you must know about pictures. We have artistic effect and others, you must watch out for them. Then, how do we put both the picture and then a text to be inside one text box? So let's say, for instance, they want all these to be inside one text box. Then you must now insert the text box. So you go to insert, then you see shape, you find text box. And then you draw the text box around them. Now, if you want to see the border, you just go to the layout option for the text box, then you choose behind text so that you only see the text and then the text box will be behind. So the text box, like any other shape, You can change also the rotation. You can also change the width of it, and then also you can change the thickness of the text box. So if I click on it and I want a specific size, I can now change the thickness, what's the shape outline, weight, and then I can choose maybe 3 pt. So if you get a question of this nature, they put a text box and then they place them like that. And then again, still inside that text box, there are other things that they can also ask you. That is creating a link to the text box. Let's say I have another text box over here. Then I want these two text boxes to be linked together so that if I reduce the size of the text box, the content here will overflow into this one. We say create a link. So when I select it, you see create link. Then you come and select the second text box. So they are linked together. If I reduce this, some of the content will be here. But now, because I did not copy and paste these things inside, let's say, because this one I made it as a border, that's why you don't see the effect. Let me have a typical example over here. Let's say I have two text boxes here. And then I copy this content inside the text box. Now, if I create a link, then I come and click here. They will overflow into this text box, meaning that if I drag this one, some of the text will go here also. If I make it to be smaller, it will overflow to the other text box. So basically, that's how we deal with the text box and then also images. Then you can break the link also. So you must watch out for some of these questions. Right. If there's no question about images, uh, where can I get this document? Yes, I shared it. You can find it here. I'm going to share again. You will see this document over there. Right. We move straight to another aspect, which is the field. Now, how to insert various fields as a header or inside the document. Then we go to the indentation. By 40 minutes time, I should be done with Microsoft Word. Then spreadsheet and database, we won't spend much time over there. Okay, the field. Let's say you get a question that's is asking you to insert the number of words as a field in the header. You double click on the header, and then you'll find here document info. Then you see different fields over here: the author, the file name, the file path, the document type, and then also other document properties. There's a file name, then the file name will be there as a field. Now, if you don't find it, you go to field, and there are various fields over here. Make sure the categories is selected as all. But then if the field is about date, you go there, and then you see create date, date, print date, save date, and then time. Let's say you want the current time, you go to time, and then you specify how the time should be. Maybe 4 H, and then minute, and then second, if you want it to be like that, so that the time will be in hours, minute, and second. So there are different fields that you can get questions about, like the number of words. If the question is asking for the number of words, you can choose the document info or you select all, then you see num words. You will find num word, which is here. Then you click OK, so that the number of words will be there as a field. Now, we have number of characters. So anytime they ask you a question about field, and then in the header or footer, that is how you have to insert it. What about if they want the field to be on a specific place? Let's say the last page. They want the field to be here. Now you don't see the field over here. What you do, you go to search and then you type field. It's going to give you document info, then you choose field. And then let's say we are looking for the number of pages. So you go to num pages and then OK. So the number of pages will be here as a field. So anytime we are marking, even though somebody can type 5, we will see here. When you right click and then it doesn't give you update field, that means you did not do that. You can edit the field and then make changes to that also. Right. So basically, that is how we insert a field. Then we move straight to other aspect that you must also know. That is paragraph indentation, adjusting the spacing and line spacing, and then using the ruler settings. Right. So let's take, for instance, I have this document over here. And let's say you get a question that says, you must change the paragraph spacing by 12 pt after and 6 pt before, or change the line spacing. Then basically we have 3 spaces, or we have the line spacing, paragraph spacing, and then character spacing. Now, the paragraph spacing and then the line spacing, you click inside the paragraph, you can use the search and type paragraph. Then it's going to open paragraph settings for you. So you see paragraph spacing and the line spacing. So let's say we are changing the paragraph spacing to 12 pt before, and then the line spacing to be, we have multiple, we have at least, we have exactly. So let's say we want to change the line spacing to exactly by 13 pt or 14 pt, you choose it over here. And then we also have line and page break. That is where we have keep lines together. When it comes to keep lines together, that is where we want the whole lines in the paragraph to be together. And then we have also keep with next. So you can get a question that says, use paragraph setting or use Microsoft Word feature to ensure that the heading and then its respective paragraph should always be together. Then you choose keep lines together. So you can see they will be together. Now, when you get a question that says use paragraph feature or Microsoft Word feature to ensure that this heading here will be on the next page. Then it is also paragraph settings. Then you choose page break before, and then you click OK, so that it will move it to the next page. Here, we do not insert page break. We use the feature called page break before. So watch out for that type of questions also. Now, when it comes to character spacing is not under paragraph, but rather it is under font. So you go to the text and then you go to the font settings. character spacing is under advanced, then you can now change it. Let's say expanded by 2 pt or condensed. So this is character spacing. So character spacing is under font, paragraph and line spacing is under, or they are under paragraph. So take note of that. Now we move straight to using ruler settings to set the indentation. Now basically there are about 4 types of indentation. We have the left indent, right indent, first line indent, and then hanging indent. Now, if the question says first line indent, you see the ruler settings over here. The one on top here, like a triangle, is first line indent to 2 centimeters. Right indent at 14 centimeters, you take it to this place. This is right indent at 14 centimeters. Now, the question says we should change this one to left indent. Left indent is the one at the bottom. Left indent at 2 centimeters. When you move it, that one that shows like a rectangle is the left indent. The one above it is the hanging indent. And then the one on top is the first line indent. So you have to take note of that by using the ruler settings. And this one is the right indent. So if I want to change this one to hanging indent, I go there, make sure that it's reading hanging indent before you move it. Then you drag it. This is hanging indent. This is left indent. And also this is first line indent. So by using the ruler settings, you can be able to apply them. So take note of that. Then again, if the question says set 2 centimeters, so you can see here, right indent is at 14 centimeter. But when you go to the paragraph, you are going to see right indent at 1.92. So take note. If the question says use the ruler settings, make sure you use the ruler settings to set it. Do not use the paragraph settings. It's going to give you wrong answer. But then the first line indent and others will always be the same. But the left indent and then the right indent, left indent will be the same, but the right indent will never be the same. So you must take note of that. Then also using the ruler settings to set up a tab stop. Let's say we want to insert a tab stop over here. We have names, age, and then school. Now, we want to set a tab stop. You select everything and then use the ruler settings. Let's say our first tab stop will be 6 centimeters. Don't click in the middle of 6 centimeters. If you double click, it's going to give you page setup. But when you select it and you want to set the indent at 6 centimeters center, what you do is you go to 6 centimeter. Below it, that's 7, a gray line, not in the middle. Double click. It's going to set the tab stop position at 6 centimeters. But if you want a tab stop to maybe center, you choose center and you click on set. If you want a line, you can choose the line and click on set. Okay. So if I click here and press the tab key from the keyboard, it's going to take me to center at 6 centimeters. Now, if I want to set again to maybe 13, you double click. It's saying left. Then I change the 13 to maybe a bar. I want a bar is a line in between, and then I set it. So there will be a bar there so that at the end of that bar, I can type over there. So there's also a tab stop, left, right, center, and then also bar. So you must always watch out for that. And then you have to always check over here. Center is like T, and then the bar is the straight one, left indent. So you need to take note of that. If you want to put the center one, let me just write something here. Okay, I think this PDF is going to give me something. So the center node is like a T. The center is like a T. And then also the left indent is L, and then the right indent is also the other way. So we need to take note of that, how to insert, and then how to also, I want this one. I don't want to sign. I wanted to write that, but then it's fine. I will just. Right. So take note, they can give you a screenshot. Always check the ruler settings. When it is T, it is center. When it's just a line like this, it is a bar. And then when it is L, L is left. And then the L that is turned to the left hand side is the right indent. So you need to take note of that. Right. So that is all about the indentation using the ruler settings, and then also the tab stop. Now we go to column. With a column break, these ones I won't spend much time. Column with a column break. Let's say we want to put these two as two column. You select, and then you can get column from layout, column, and then more column. Or alternatively, you can search for it. So we need two columns. They can ask you a question regarding the column to change the spacing, and then maybe with a line in between. Now, if let's say the question wanted you to start ensuring that maybe from location, it should be on the next, on top of the next column. So you click before it, you insert what we call the column break. So you go to layout, breaks, and then you choose column, so that to move to the next column. So that is how we insert the column break to move something to the top of the next column. So basically, this is what you need to know regarding columns. Right. All your questions, and then we will look at them. Now, so the column, you must know how to insert a column with a column break, and then also a line in between. Then drop cap is basic, and I believe as a grade 12 learner, you should know how to insert a drop cap. Let's say I want to put a drop cap here. So you can go to insert drop cap, or you can just search for drop cap. And we have two of them, drop and then imagine. But then it's better you go to drop cap options, then you select which option you are looking for. If it is drop, then how many lines are you going to drop, and then which distance. Now, drop cap, you can shade by filling in the drop cap. And then if, let's say, the drop cap is already there, but then it's giving you only 3 lines, but then they wanted 4 lines, you right click, and then you see drop cap with it 2 dots or 3 dots. That will give you drop cap option. Then you can now change it to 4 lines. So there can be a question whereby they have already inserted a drop cap, then you need to modify it. Right. That's all about drop caps. Then you must also know style and then proofing language, setting proofing language, how to modify a style, and then the proof languages. So to modify a style, if you have existing style, like we have heading 1 style, you right click on that heading, and then you see modify. Then you can make so many changes of this heading. Let's say we are changing this heading name to Sirantwi, and then you want it to be based on maybe heading 2. Then you want to change the formatting. Then you want to do other things, like let's say you go to format and you want to change the character spacing to advanced, expanded by maybe 2 pt. They can also ask you to change the numbering style or the text effect, and the text effect, whether it's shadow or soft edge text effect. They can ask you any of these. So watch out for some of these things, put a border around it and others. Then when you are done, then automatically update. You tick that one so that it will update automatically. So that's how we modify style. But if they ask to create a new style, you can go to search and say style. So it's going to give you a text style, and then you see create a style. Then you choose modify so that you can change the name of the style, and then you modify that particular style. So basically, that is how we do or we create styles and modify a style. Now, proofing languages, certain language, track changes, and then also number of words. If there are any changes that have been made on the document, we use track changes. So right now, if I go to review, and then you see track changes, you see all markup. The moment you select all markup, it's going to show you all the changes. Then you can now accept or you reject the changes. So here, change made earlier on, so you will not see any track change. So if there are any track changes, you are going to see that it's going to be red, and then you now accept or you reject changes. Now, they can ask you to also do that track changes, the markup there when you are done, and then you also start the tracking. You can see that one there. Either you delete or you accept it. Now, when you track the changes, it will just say track changes for just me or for everyone. And then we also have locking tracking so that you don't see any track changes over there. So you get a question if it's about track changes, you just go there and then make sure all markup is selected. Then you can now accept or you reject changes that are being made. So that is about the track changes. Then changing the language, you can see from review, there's a language over here that will allow you to set the proofing language. Let's say you are setting the proofing language to Afrikaans, and then you click OK, so that the entire document will have Afrikaans language. Right, so that's how we also set the proofing language. Now you can see that these changes are being made. So if I want to accept changes, I go there and say accept changes. So you can see all the changes that have been made. I can accept them, accept and move on. So it's going to accept all the changes that have been made. And then if you want to reject, you go to reject the change. So that's all about the setting the language and then also track changes. You can also set the language over here. Like if I want to change the language from Afrikaans for this one, I select it. Then you see Afrikaans over here. Sometimes you see English South Africa or English America. Just double click, then you can now change the language. So that's another way of changing the proofing language. Then we move straight to page numbering. I saw that somebody asked a question about page numbers, how to insert page numbers, odd and even. Then from there, I will move to table. As for find and replace, also special. Then cover page and others, I will skip that part. I think those ones, if you have any question about this, you can bring it, then we solve those type of questions. Now, somebody asked a question about page numbers. So I'm going to use another document regarding page numbers. I'm going to use 3 about wholesale. So here I have several pages, 5 pages. Now I want to insert page number in such a way that the first 2 pages will not be numbered. I want to number from here. Then the odd number should be on the left, even number should be on the right. Now, because I want to start numbering from here, this page, which is page 3, page 1, and then page 2 will not be numbered. So I have to insert what we call the section break to divide page 3 from page 1 and 2. So what I will do is I click before the affordable, and then I go to layout, breaks, continuous. And then I double click on the header. Then I remove this link to previous. It is similar to how we inserted watermark on a specific page. So meaning I am separating these pages from the rest of the pages. So I have to remove it. So you see here, header section 1. This is also section 1. So page 1 and 2 is section 1. And page 3 is section 2. So you see header section 2. So I have to remove link to previous on the header and also on the footer. So both the footer and the header, you must remove link to previous. Then when you are done, we can now insert our page numbers starting from here. So you go to page numbers, bottom. Let's say I want to use a specific format. Let's say dot. Now, it says page 5. Okay, say page 3. Now you can see that the first page is not numbered, and then the second page is also not numbered. But now I want this third page to be number 1, not 5. So I click there, I go back to page number, then you see format page numbers. Then I can now say start at 1. Sometimes if you say start at 1, it doesn't show, then you say start at 0. So here, 1 will be here. This should be 2, or this is 1, and it should be 2. So here should be starting at 1. And then this side should be starting at 2. Yes. So 2, and then here will be 3. You must click on it and then update. Maybe it's giving problems. So when you update, it will fix it for you. Right. So this is 3, this is 2, and this is 1. But these 2 pages are not numbered. Now we can also number these pages also by numbering them also at the bottom, but we don't want 1, 2, 3, but rather we want it to be formatted as Roman numbers. So that will be I and then I over here. But when you come here, it will be 1, 2, 3. I think the format that I chose, it's always going to give this problem. Don't worry about that. When you click, it changes automatically. Right. So that is all about page numbers. But what if the question says the page number that you have here, the odd number should be on the left, even number should be on the right. So you take this one that says different, odd, and even. So that this is odd number, and I want this odd number to be left. You select, you go to home, and then you change it to be left. Now, because of the particular format that I chose, I can change it to the normal page numbers. Yeah, so now, when I select it and I want it to be on the left, I choose left. Then the even number, I go to even number. You will see here, because I take different, odd, and even, you will see here, even page footer. You go there, and then you insert the page number. And let's say I want it to be on the right, you select, go to home, and then you choose it to be on the right-hand side. Even number to be right, odd number to be left. The trick is that you must take different, odd, and even before you can now insert them. So that's how we insert page numbers to be different, odd, and even, and then also to start at a specific page. Right. Now, sir, can you please repeat how to insert a picture to be in one box? Yes, I will do that. I'll come back to that when I'm done with this one. Right. I'll assist you with that. Now, if there's no other question, like somebody said, how do you put a picture and everything to be? Like I said, if you have this picture and this text, you want it to be in one box, make sure you change it to tight or square, then you move it. And then after that, you must insert shape and then you choose text box. Then you draw the text box around the text and then the image. Then after that, you see the layout option of the text box. You change it to behind text so that that text box will be behind the text. So that's how we put the text box and then the text to be in one box. Right. Now, we just go to table, how to insert the table and then manipulate these tables. Now, let's say I have a table over here. So insert table. I want to have a simple table. Now, I have some table with the names and then marks. And then comment. Now, this table, tutor got 25, Tato maybe got 40, 42. Now you have this table. And then you want to modify the table. Whenever you click on the table, you click on this selection tool, then it's going to give you table design, or sometimes you design based on the Microsoft app that you are using. And then we also have table layout. Now, with the design, that is where we use it to design it using the pen color. So if I choose the pen color and then the weight, and I want the border to be outside, I choose outside border. Don't forget you choose the color and then the weight. Then if you want the inside one, let's say I choose dotted lines with this PT and the color to be green. Then I go there and choose inside border. So basically, that's how we insert the borders around a table. Now, if you have this table with the values inside, then you go to the table layout. You will see over here, auto fit maybe to content will be smaller and auto fit to window. So the question will tell you whether it should fit the whole window or only the content. Then there are other options here that you can also go through them, how to merge. If you want to insert a new one above, you go there and then you choose table or row above. Then you can now merge it and then maybe you type learner's marks. Now, if you want to center vertically and horizontally, you'll find it here under table layout, align center. So vertically and horizontally. Now, if you want to shade, you go to table design, you see shading. Maybe I want to shade it with this color. So make use of table design and table layout. Now, one interesting thing about text direction, you can change the text direction also of your text, and you can sort them also the table. You can sort this. Let's say you have all these values, and you can sort maybe based on not the names, but based on the marks, and then in ascending or descending. Then you sort them. But what if you have this and they want you to perform some calculation? Let's say you want to find some calculations and the percentages. Now, if I want to do calculation over here, I go to the table layout, you see formula. Then you see sum above. That is finding the sum for all these. So if I go there again and I want to find the average above. Now, there are so many calculations that you can do. If you don't know that calculation, when you go here, you see paste function, you see different calculations over here. If statement is even here, and then main, max, all these functions, you must expect them. So if I want to round it, I want to round the answer, I can use round function, comma 0. Syntax error, maybe the comma and then the semicolon. Yeah, comma 0. So if the question say round it to maybe 0 decimal place, you use round function. Just like the way we do in spreadsheet, but the only thing is here, we deal with above, below, left, and right. So if I'm here and then I want to calculate some percentage over here, I go to the formula and then I choose the sum to the left divided by maybe 100. Now, what if they want us to divide by the total over here? So divide by maybe the total, which is 50 times 100. Then it's going to give you the percentage over here. Now, what about, let's say we did a calculation over here about the sum above. We did the sum. Now we want to find percentage of this total. Then this is very, very interesting. The total is 67. So you can say divide by 67 times 100. Or alternatively, we can give this place a name. We can give this place a name by using what we call bookmark. So the answer over here, we can choose bookmark. We select it, then it's a bookmark. And we give it a name as total. It's a total. So meaning we have given this one as the name called total. So if we want to do proper calculation here by referring to this answer here, we go there, sum to the left, divide by total. That's the name you gave to this place, times 100. Then it's going to calculate your percentage for you by referring to the total. So please, grade 12, you have to be expecting some of these challenges. You know, grade 12, there should be higher order questions. So if you are referring to a specific cell to do your calculation, you must create a bookmark to name that place. Then you use that one to do your calculation. Okay, so that's how we deal with table calculations. Now, again, with a table, we have something called a cell margin here. If you want to change the cell margin to, let's say, 1 centimeter. And that's what in HTML we call it the cell spacing. The spaces between cells. We call it cell margin in Word, but in HTML we call it the cell spacing. So 1 centimeter in between individual cells. So that is all that you need to know about table. Now, okay, somebody say I must do it. Please, the live will be there after this session. You'll get access to this one. Please, as soon as you click on the same link, you get access to this video. So you will never lose anything. So that is all about table. Now let's move straight to as for cover pages. I think inserting cover page and then changing the cover page, the images, those are lower order questions. And then the page border also lower order. Now let's wrap up Microsoft Word with a find and replace. Now, they can ask you to find and replace a certain word. Let's say we are finding the word mission, or maybe we are finding the word customers, and then we replace it with a symbol. So if we are finding the word customer and replace with a symbol Wingdings character code 220. So the first thing to do is to insert that symbol, Wingdings, character code 220. Now this character code, you insert it, and you want this character code, you cut it. Now we are going to find the word customers. So you can go to search and type replace. Anytime you are doing find and replace, just go to replace. So what are we finding? Customers. Then replace with, you don't put anything there. You go to more. Make sure that you click inside replace with. Then you go to more. Special, you'll find here clipboard content. Then you go to replace all. So all the word customers will be replaced with this symbol. That is how we do find and replace with a symbol. Now, there are also another way of doing find and replace. Let's say we want to find the word household, and then we apply a title style to that. So again, we go to replace. We are finding the word household. Then we want to apply something on it, which is the title style. So we click here. Do not repeat the household over here. You just have to go to format and you choose style. Then you choose the type of style that you are looking for. Let's say we want to choose title style. title character style, and then you click OK. Then you click on replace all. Now, if you do it and you don't see that style here as format, that means you didn't do it properly. If it is here, sometimes some letters will format them here, which is wrong. It should be under replace with. Then you go to replace all. So we got 4 replacement. So household have been applied with a title style. So that's how we apply a title style, by using find and then replace. Again, we can also find and replace using characters like this. Let's say we are finding, you go to more special, we are finding the word or manual line break, and then we replace with another special called non-breaking space, which is soft enter. So because we don't have manual line break, that is what. So if it's about special, make sure you go to special and then you do that. Again, find and replace, they can tell you to format and highlight also with a specific color. You must choose the highlight color and choose the right highlight. They can tell you to highlight in maybe blue. I want to give you a typical example. Find the word product, and then we highlight it with a green color. Now, when you go to format, you will see highlight. But then the highlight color here is not green. So you need to change this one to green first before you come and say highlight. The replace with. Then you go to replace all. So all the word product will be highlighted in green color. So you must try your hands on this, find and replace. This is the type of question you should be expecting as a grade 12 learner. So basically, these are the things that you have to know for term 1. There are other things like the line breaks and others that we have already talked about them. For Microsoft, where you have to know this. Now, without wasting much time, I will move straight to spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is not a lot, but I'll pick question for each. Now, you can always get this document and click on the video. You will see all the other videos. Now, for the spreadsheet, we will look at basic formatting, like merge and center, rep text, and others. We will also look at cell formatting, basic functions, lookup, date and time. These are the things that you must know under spreadsheet. And then from there, we will look at database also with the queries. Then we wrap up. There is no HTML for term 1 as a grade 12 learner. There's no HTML. Now, the spreadsheet. Join me by opening this. Still inside the data file, this is spreadsheet term 1. I want to start with 5 supplier info. Now, 5 supplier info. The basic formatting. Let's say you have the heading over here, which is supplier info, and then they want you to merge and center. So you select maybe from A1 up until E1. Now, the basic formatting, you can easily do them. After selecting, you go to search. You can say merge or merge and center. Now, or you can just say format cell. Or just type cell, format cell. You see it here, or you type cell. It will allow you to change the alignment. Maybe you want to center horizontally and vertically. Also change the indent position. They can ask you to distribute indent. Watch out for that. Then wrapping text. Red text is whenever they ask you, the text should be fully visible, meaning red text. Then the text direction to any angle, they can ask you that, whether positive or negative. And then we also have changing the font and then applying a border around it. And then shading, filling. Regarding the shading, we have the fill effect. Watch out for fill effect. With a gradient fill, 2 colors, vertical up or vertical down, or from corner, and then you choose your 2 colors. So that is under the filling part or the pattern style. So you just go to format cell and you get all those information, or you right click and you see format cell, then you see all those things so that you can apply them over there. Right. Now, again, regarding the formatting part, if the question says maybe the orientation, this one's here, you must take it to vertical up. You will see the orientation over here under alignment, this one. Then you can rotate up or rotate down. And then they can ask you to maybe center vertically and horizontally. So these are the basic formatting. And you can find the rep text also here. This is rep text. So this is the first part of the spreadsheet, the basic ones. They will always ask you to do that. So for grade 12, you must know the basic formatting. Right. And then the row height and then also the column width. So if you are changing the row height, you right click and you will see row height. Then you can now change the row height to a specific height that the question requires. Let's say to 50. So that you can change the row height to the exact height. So that is all about the merge and center and then the cell formatting. Take note of that, the basic ones, alignment, and then also the cell formatting. They can also ask you a question about the sheet format. When you right click, maybe change the tab color and then move them. Also, they can ask you that question. So those are the basics. Then regarding the sheet, they can also ask you a question about the page layout, setting the print area, changing the scale, viewing the grid lines, and then the headings. You get them under page layout and you will see all of them there. So if the question says change the scale, you change them from here, or print the grid line, you take print so that the grid lines will be printed when you print it. Then setting the print area. If they want us to set this as a print area, you select them. Then you go to print area, then you see set print area. Change and all these. Those are the basics regarding spreadsheet. Right. Then regarding grade 12, also, they can ask you question to number them. Let's say you want to number here automatically. So you type 1, and then you click on the 1, put the mouse pointer over here. You will see the fill handle. Like that plus symbol, double click. It's gonna autofill for you 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, when you get down there, you'll see over here that says autofill options. You click there and then you choose fill series. So that now it should be 1, 2, 3, up to the last one. So that's how we use the autofill to fill the series. Then we also have what we call freeze pane. Let's say the question is asking you to ensure that when you scroll down, page 1 and or row 1 and 2 should be locked so that it will start from row 3. So if you want row 1 and 2 to be locked, you move to the next row, which is row 3, and then you search for freeze pane, which you can get it from view also. Freeze pane, and then you choose freeze pane. So if I drag down, you will see that row 1 and 2 are locked up. You can freeze pane also in the column. If I want column A to be locked, I select B, and then I go to freeze pane. Now, because I've frozen that row, you can remove the freeze pane and put it again, so that when I scroll to the right, column A will always be there. So you can freeze the column or you can freeze the rows. So that is also some of the spreadsheet basic formatting that we need to know. Right. Then we move straight to the basic functions. What are some of the functions that you need to know as a grade 12 learner? Large and small, to replace max and min, count ifs, sum ifs, average ifs, range between, range, round, and then an average function. So I'm going to go through them, how to use large, how to use small, and then how to use count ifs, sum ifs, average ifs, then range between, and others. Now, please don't forget, I'll be checking your questions. Yes, you can download the video. After that, I'll make it available so that it will be downloaded. Someone said, is it necessary to name it with a bookmark? Yes, if you are dealing with table, you have to name it. Otherwise, it's not going to work if you get a question of that nature. Now, large and small function. Let's take a look at this question. I'm going to use the wholesale product worksheet. Let me reduce the size. Right. Let's say the question wants you to calculate the second largest. So I'm going to type some functions here. Calculate the second largest price. The third highest amount. Average price rounded to 2 or to maybe 3 decimal places. And then also to calculate total number of oil product. Then also here, I want to calculate total price for oil product. And then also randomly generated numbers between 1 and 100. Right. So all of them I want to make the calculation over here. I want to put the calculation. Now, the second largest price. So please take note of this as a grade 12 learner. I will always advise you, don't think about max or min. Always think about large and small when you are calculating the biggest, the second highest, or any of that kind of calculation. Now, the second largest price, all this price, we want to find the second largest. So we use a function called large. We use a function called large. So you press equal sign, large. You don't have to finish typing all the function called large. Double click on the large. Then you see fx. Click on this fx. And it's going to give you an array, which is the range. So you select all the values for the prices. K is when you arrange them, let's say from largest to smallest, what position are you looking for? Now, the question says second largest price, meaning we'll be looking for the second position. So K here will be 2. So the second largest price will be equals to large B2 to B16, comma 2. That's the second largest price. Now, the third highest amount, also we use large. And then the K, and then the third highest K will be 3. Right. So basically, that is how we deal with the calculations of that nature. Now, what about if the question say find the second smallest price or the least price? Let me create a new row. That's the least price. Least price, that means the smallest price. So instead of you to use min, you can use small. And then you click on fx, the array, you select them. Then K, the least price, that means when you arrange them from smallest to biggest value, the least one, the one that comes first. So K will be 1. So the least price, we use the small function. If they ask you to find the second smallest value, then the K will be 2. K will be 2. So basically, small and large, they have the same format. The only difference is that this one is calculating the biggest values, whilst the other one will be calculating the smallest values. Now, average price rounded to 3 decimal places. And we need to put a function here. Average price rounded to 3 decimal places. Now, if you have that type of question, I'm going to solve it in 2 ways. The first is whereby you break them down, solve them step by step. First of all, you calculate the average. So it will be equals to average, and then you select the values. Now, when you get your answer over here, now we need to put a final answer here. So if you have building block, you solve the question in the building block. Now we want to put the answer over here. So we say round equals sign round. Then you click on fx, the number, you click on your answer for the average, the number of digits, 3 decimal place, put 3. So you first calculate the average in the building block, then you use the round function to truncate it into the number of decimal places. And then the count is, and then the sum is. In grade 12, make use of count ifs and sum ifs. Now, how do you determine whether it is count ifs or sum ifs? Whenever you see total together with number, it is count. But when you see total only, like total amount, total price, then that one will be sum. So total number or find the number, then you must know that it is count. So this instance is a total number of oil product, meaning that we have to count the product that has oil in it. We use the count ifs. Now, I will advise you to always need to count ifs, because count ifs will even give you the answer, even if the number of criteria is 1 or 2 or any number of criteria, you the count ifs. So equal sign count ifs. Click on FX, then you see criteria range 1. Where do we find the oil product? You select them. Then the criteria, they say the one that contains oil. Now you can see from here that we have the oil sunflower, and then oil sunflower 5 liter and 2 liter. So oil is not just, you can't just say oil like this. It's gonna give me 0 because it is not written only oil. So what you need to do is use what you call wild card. We're using star to represent. So you just say star oil star. That means contains the word oil. So it gives us 2. So take note, the star before and then the star after. These 2. So it shows contains. Use wildcards to do your answer or to get most of your count ifs and then the sum ifs. Now the total price for oil product. So here we use the sum if. Sum ifs. Like I said, count ifs and sum ifs, even if the criteria is more than 1, or if it is only 1, it will still work. So the reason why I want us to stick to count ifs and sum ifs is that so that you don't get confused whether the number of criteria is 1 or 2. So the sum range will be where it contains the prices, because the question says the total price. And criteria range 1, you select where we find the oil, like the products. And what criteria are we looking for? Oil. So you say star, oil, star. So the sum range is always numerical values. And then the criteria range, it can also be text or numerical value. So this is the total price for oil products. It's equals to sum if. This is the sum range, and that one is the criteria range. And what are we looking for from that criteria? The product that contains oil. So basically, that is how we use the sum ifs and count ifs. Now, randomly generated values between 1 and 100, we use rand between. Whenever the question wants random generated values, use rand between. And then the bottom, because the question says from 1, between 1 and 100, the bottom will be 1, and then the top will be 100. So it's going to give you random values. That's randomly generated values. If I double click and press enter, the values will keep on changing. So that's how we use the rand between. So we have catered for count if, sum if, large, small, rand between, round, and average function. Average if and sum ifs are similar. If let's say the question asks you to calculate the average price for oil product, also we use average ifs. They are the same, average ifs. Then it's going to ask you the average range. You select the prices, and then the criteria range 1, you select the product. What product are we looking for? Oil. So star oil star. So the average ifs and then the sum ifs are similar. So watch out for such type of questions also. Now, let me check if there are no questions. Okay, somebody say if function. You're having problem with the if function and the nested if. I will check that also. But then we need to also verify from the ATP. We need to verify from ATP 2026. Now, grade 12, you must check the functions that they are asking for before. Remember, we are revising for term 1. According to the ATP for term 1, practicals, database, spreadsheet, like we have done database. We have done the word links and then the bookmark. We will look at the bookmark and that I forgot about that, but that one is an easy proofing, track changes, then also revising grade 11 and 10. Then database, we'll look at that. Queries, report, line breaks. Now, when it comes to spreadsheet, yeah, there's nested if. We'll look at that. Nested if is there, which is supposed to be taught in week 10, between 16th March, that's next week. But we will discuss that also today. Now let's move straight. So we did round, round up and round down. Round is round to the highest and round down, count ifs and sum ifs. So we're gonna look at lookup function and then the nested if, then the time. Then we are done with the spreadsheet for the average, the sum, the count, the basic functions also. Right. So mostly don't expect questions from the last week, especially when the exam is going to be somewhere here, or the test. You don't expect questions from the very last week, the date and time. So we will be focusing on the content that you are supposed to do. Right. Now let's move straight to the lookup. So I'm going to take one question regarding the lookup. We have here the supplier code. We have here the supplier code. And then we have the supplier names. Now, when it comes to the current supplier, we have the supplier names. And then the question wants us to display the yes and no's over here based on the supplier name. So the supplier names are already given to us, which is this column. They're already given to us. But whether they will be part or not, yes and no, is not given to us. We don't have them here. We have this yellow one here. I want to color code so that you understand them. The names are already here. But we do not have whether they will join or not, which is column E. So we don't have these values here. Now we need to go and put these values over here. And you cannot use copy and paste. To do that, you have to use what we call lookup function. The lookup function, we are using the supplier name to go and look for its corresponding yes and no values and bring them over here. Now, there are 3 types of lookup function. We have VLOOKUP, we have XLOOKUP, and we have HLOOKUP. Now, the H and then the VLOOKUP depends on the table. Now, you can see this table is vertical. If it's vertical, we use what we call VLOOKUP. If the table where you are taking the value from is vertical, we use VLOOKUP. If the table is horizontal, like this one, I'm going to show you. If the table is horizontal, like this, let's say you got this table to be horizontal, then we're going to use HLOOKUP because it is horizontal. Right. So here we have to use VLOOKUP. And now to do VLOOKUP, you need to select the entire table where you are taking the values from, excluding the heading. Give it a name, define name, restrict it, make it absolute reference. So you right click and choose define name. Why? So that we can make it absolute reference. You can see here, it's putting the dollar sign. So if you like, you can put the dollar sign around the range. It is also correct. And then we can make it a name as A. So we're going to put the answer here, which is VLOOKUP equals sign VLOOKUP. Then you click on FX. So first of all, you type the table name, which is A. It's going to bring all the values from that table. And then the lookup value. Mostly the lookup value is on the same row. It's a value, one cell. Remember, we said we are using the supplier name to bring the yes and no. So the lookup value will be this supplier name on the same row. And then the column index. From that table, which column are you taking the values from? You can see over here. We already, if we say one is the column one, which contains the supplier name. And then you see / followed by yes. So the column one is the A's, which is already here, so we don't need it. Column two is the one with the yes, so that's the one we are looking for. So column index number is 2. And then the range lookup is false because they are exact match, meaning that when you see A's here, if you go this side, you see A's also, nothing changed. So you say false. If, let's say, um, here is A's, but then when you come to that side, you only see AC. So it's going to do NA because you see AC here. When it comes here, it's also AC, not A. So meaning it's going to be an approximate match, but not the exact match. So this one, you cannot use false. You have to change it to be true. So true is approximate match, and then false is exact match. That's the VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP. But what if we want to use XLOOKUP? And we know XLOOKUP can be used as an alternative to V and then H. So if we want to use XLOOKUP, what you need to do is you give each column different names. So you select column A. Let me put back the A's. You select column A, give it different name. You right click, define name. Let's say I'll make it a B. And then I select this column also, give them different names. You right click, define name, I'll make it as D. Now, this one becomes the return range. That means this is the one that we are going to return to this side. So it becomes the return range. And the one that is already there becomes the lookup range. So here we see equal sign X lookup. Then the lookup value is this. The lookup array is the B, and then the return array is D. So you see the return array, the one we are bringing here, that's the yes and no. The lookup array is the A's and other, they are already there. And the lookup value must be part of the lookup array. Hence, when I click on this cell, C3, you will see it as part of this. Then you click OK. Now, I will prefer that the match mode, you say -1. -1 caters whether it is exact or approximate match. Then we have our yes and no. Right. So basically, this is how we do VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. If you are using Office 365, I will urge you to always use XLOOKUP. It's very easy and straightforward, unlike the V and then H lookup. Right. Let me check if there are no questions. How do we do the one that requires using building block or text function or something first? Right, place the text function, that will be term 2. If the question asks you to combine, term 1, you are just starting, so you use the basics. If the question wants you to combine, that's when you do term 2 text function. Is going to ask you to use building block to start solving them step by step. So that one is a complex one. That's for term 2. So now term 1, you need to know the basic lookup functions, how to make sure that they are exact match or approximate, and how to use them. Those are the basics. Now to combine different functions, mostly for term 2. Right. That is all about the lookup functions. Now let's move straight to our checklist. We are going to, somebody asked about nested if. We will look at nested if before we come to the date and time. Now, the nested if functions. I want to take another data set so that I can make use of the nested if. Right. Yes, I'm going to use this one, 6 underscore donors. We can use that one. Now, here, again, you can try your hands on this question. You can see here, total amount of donation received. Now here they are talking about total amount. That's amount of donation put together. Then here they are asking about the total number of donors that also volunteers. So the total number that are volunteers, that's count if. That means those who chose yes as a volunteer. Total number of donors that are not volunteers, that is no, those who chose N. Total amount donations received for volunteer, that is the sum ifs. So when you see total amount, it is sum ifs. Total number is count ifs. Now we are going to if statement. Now, according to ATP, it is asking us to know this, and then you expect this type of questions. Nested if, and then all function. You got to expect that type of questions. Nested if function, how to combine them. We call them the logical functions. Now, let's say end function. End function is a type of function that combines multiple conditions. Now, it gives the answer yes whenever the conditions are true, and it gives the answer no when at least one condition is false. Right. Let's take a look at this one. Let's say we want to indicate here yes and no. If the person indicate to volunteer, which is yes, and then the donation amount is more than 1,000. So here there are two conditions. I'm going to put a question over here. Volunteer and donated 10,000 or more. Now, so there are two conditions here. The person should have volunteered and then the amount donated is 10,000 or more. So here we can use N function, equal sign N. That both conditions must be met. So logical one, you click on the volunteer must be equals to Y. Why did I say must be equals to Y? Because volunteer means yes. And then logical two, the amount donation, which is 11, must be greater or equals to 1,000. And then okay. So it gives me false here because this one is not yes, but this is more than 1,000. Now, if I autofill, some will be true. Why is this one true? Because the person says yes, and the amount here is more than 1,000. Hence, it's giving me true over here. This is true also because this is yes, and this is more than 1,000. So when you use N function or the OR function, it's going to give you true or false. Then we also have OR function. Let me use OR function and see. So if this value over there, the volunteer is equals to yes, or the amount donation here is greater than or equals to 1,000. So here is giving me true. Why is it true? Because all function, at least one of the condition must be true. So this condition is true. That's why it's giving me true. So we call it all function. At least one condition must be true. So you can see all of them are true because at least one condition is true. Right. That is how we use the or function and then N function. Now, nested if. You can use nested if. That's one if inside another if. When you have one if statement inside another if statement, then we call it nested if. Now, we can combine if statement with logical statement. For instance, if you get a question that says display the message good if the person is a volunteer and has donation amount of 1,000 and more. Otherwise, leave it empty. Now I have this simple question here. We are going to display the message good over here. Whenever the person is or the person has made himself to be a volunteer and has donation amount of 1,000. So here there are two conditions. This side here must be yes, and then this side must be more than 1,000 before we display the message called good. So to do that, you have to make use of what we call the if statement and an and function, which is the nested if also can be used to replace nested if. So you start with if statement, equal sign if, then you click on fx, and then inside the logical text, you use the and function, then you open bracket. So one function inside another function, then you open bracket. Now, when you open bracket, go inside the formula bar, you see n function, click inside that formula bar. The bracket open and close for the n function, click inside there. Then you now put your logical statements there. The first statement is the person should be volunteer. So C11 must be equals to Y. And this amount here must be greater than or equals to 1,000. When you are done here, don't click OK. Go back to the FX and click after if statement. Then you see value if true, you type good. And then value if false, you press the space bar. Space bar meaning that it's empty. Then you click OK. So this is empty. If I autofill, some will be having good, others will be having empty space. So this is called a nested if. That's one if inside another if, or if combined with and function. So combining if statement with the and function, we can also use that one by using and function. Or alternatively, you can also use the building block, which I will show you in the next example by using the building block to solve it step by step. That is all about the nested if, or we could have solved this question here also using the nested if, having more than one if statement, one if inside another if. So you can just say equal sign if, then you click on fx. Then the logical text, you start with the first if, that is if C11 is equals to Y. Now the value if true, you don't put the message called good, you open another if statement and then you open bracket. Now when you open the bracket, go to that if statement, the second one, click inside it. It will give you its own logical text. Then you take the one for the amount donation greater than or equals to 1,000. Then after that, the message here will be good. Here will be empty. You press the space bar. Now, you are not done yet. Go back to the first if. You'll see that value if false. Value if false is going to be empty there. So you press the space bar also. Then the same answer as the one with the if and the and. That's a nested if. So you can choose whichever way that you want to choose. That's very, very easy. Now, the last part of the nested if before we move straight to database. Then we move straight to database. Will be whenever you are comparing one column, let's say we are using the amount donation. And then let's say we are comparing the amount donation column. Then we have several options. Then, for instance, you have three options here. When they say the amount donated, So when the amount donated is less than 300, and when the amount donated is between 300 to 1,000, and then lastly, the amount donated should be more than 1,000. So when it is less than 1,000 or more than 1,000, they say maybe excellent. 300 to 1,000, we must say good. And then less than that, maybe fair. So there are three conditions over here. There are three conditions over here. Now, when you have this, and then the question says use nested if statement to answer this type of question. This one here, you must always choose the first and last, which I call it alpha and then omega. What does that mean here? It means that you choose the first and last. The second part here is very difficult because it says 300 to 1,000. So the easier one is the first one, which is less than 300, and then the second one is more than 1,000. So you can easily pick this one to do it. The one in the middle, you leave it. So we use if statement over here, equal sign if, and then you click on your fx. So the very first one, you click on the amount donated. If 11 is less than 300, less than 300, then it should display the message called fair. Then the value if false, you open the second if. Don't forget to open the bracket. Go to the formula bar, and you click over there. And then you start the next one, which is 11 again. Amount donated. This time around, we are going to choose the last condition, which is greater than 1,000. Then it will be excellent. So the value if false, we don't do anything. We leave that part, which is good, because that will be the second or the third condition. Then you click OK. So here you are going to get all your responses. When you have these three type of condition, pick the first and then the last, leave out the one in the middle because that's complicated, because here's the starting and then where it is ending. So you leave that part and you only put that message called good. Like, that's all about spreadsheet. We are not going to focus on spreadsheet again because the last one is the subtotal and then also basic date and time calculation. That is going to be in week 11. So it will be unfair for any assessment to include that unless you are going to write that assessment on the last week. Then you will need that part also, which is the date and time. Other than that, we will move straight to database. But I will check your questions. There are people are saying concatenate, and the concatenate is term 2. It is not term 1. Will I be penalized if I use lookup instead of VLOOKUP? No. No. Lookup, X lookup is an alternative to V and then H lookup. We move straight to database. Database is not a lot. We're gonna focus on table queries, just picking one or two questions. Data sheet view, input mask, and then the report. They are not a lot. You did it in grade 10, grade 11, so it's all about revision. Now let's move straight to database. I'm going to open 8 wholesale data, just one data file. I'm going to use that one. Now, the first thing that you need to know regarding database is changing the background colors. So I'm going to open TBL popular brands. Now, I want to increase the font size. You select all of them. Now, if the question says change the row height, or maybe change the cell effect or the background color, you tell me what to do, and then you type cell. Now it's going to give you format cell. Then you'll be able to modify them, like the background color to red, alternate background color to maybe yellow, grid line colors, removing grid lines, maybe vertical grid lines should be removed. Then watch out also for border and line style, maybe column header underline with dots or dot dash or short dash. Those are the lines. If you want to change them, that's how we change them, by going to cell, and then you'll find it. If you don't find it from your computer, just go to text formatting. You will see this arrow. You click there, and then you can find the cell formatting. Right, let me just change it back to the white color for everyone. Right, so that is how we change the cell formatting. And then again, you must know how to change the row height, and then the column. You right click on the row, you will see row height. Then you can change the size, maybe to 50 or others. So that's how we change the table data sheet view. Now let's go to design view. You right click on the same table and choose design view. Now under the design view, according to the data types, validation rule, input mask, combo box required. Now, if the question is change the data type, like the promo price, it should be price. Now, if the data is, let's say, a picture, they ask you to put a picture there. A picture, the data type should be OLE object. OLE object, which is for multimedia, can be a picture or video or audio, which is OLE object. And then again, if let's say let the picture be in between promo price and non-promo price, you right click on non-promo price and you choose insert rows. Then you can type maybe that new data file there. Then you change it. So that is how we insert new row. Now also the primary key. A primary key should be a unique field, and it should not be empty. So if you look at all these fields over here, the one that is unique is the ID, because the product are repeating, they can never be unique. And then the product brand is also repeating, so it can never be unique. So the ID is the one that is not repeating these values here. So you can set a primary key to that particular field. And then we go to validation rule and validation text. Now, when it comes to validation rule, I'm just going to explain this concept to you. Over here, validation rule, if it is about number, like for instance, they ask you to ensure that the promo price is from 1 up until 30,000. So we use between 1 and 30,000, meaning from 1 to 30,000 are allowed. So if you are setting it, let's say promo price, then you go to validation rule, then you say between 1 and 30,000. And then the validation text should be a message that describes the rule. So you start by first mentioning the field name. So it should be promo price. Should be from 1 to 1,000. Oh no, 30,000. Or only promo price from 1 to 30,000 are allowed. So that's how we put the validation text. If it is only about the values, then you know the start value and then the end value. If it's about date, you can also use between, maybe 1st of January 2007 and 31st December 2010. This is the validation rule for date from 2007 to 2010. That means the very first date from 2007, which is 1st of January 2007, and then the last date of 2010, which is 31st December 2010. So that's how we insert the um the date, and then automatically it will come with a hashtag. So let's say I'm having a date here, which is DOB, and then I change it to date of birth or date or time. Then I put a validation text as between 0101, the year 2000, and 31st December 2030, or maybe 2020. Now, this one here, the moment I click outside the validation rule, it's going to come out with the hashtag. Now, if I go there and then I type a date, I put a date of birth, which is more than 2030, it's going to give me an error message. It's going to give me an error message because it should end at 2030, but not 2032. So you need to change that. Right. You need to change that, maybe 2026. So set it. Okay, now that one is done. And then it says the brand, enter the value for that particular one, the TOB. So they want you to enter a value because it was compulsory. Or let me choose today's date. Maybe I did not type the date proper. So you must always check your validation rule. Now, again, oh no, I ended at 2020. That's why it's giving me the error message. That's all about the validation rule. But now we can have validation rule for, let's say, email. And then the email address is hyperlink. Then we want to have a validation rule for email address that says it should include the @ symbol. You must use star @ star. That means it includes the @ symbol. So you go to validation rule and you put a star @ star. That is, it includes the @ symbol. So meaning your email address, you can't type an email address without @ symbol. So if I type anything without the @ symbol, it will give me the error message. Why did I say the star @ star? Because it says it includes. Then I put the @ then I type that, then it's gonna work because it includes the @ symbol. That is validation rule for you. Now watch out for this kind of validation. If it's about text, For instance, the brain. Okay, let me have this volunteer, and then now here is gonna be a text. Then the validation rule should be yes and no. Then you must put it in inverted comma, yes, separated with all, and then you put them there. That is yes or no. Yes or no. So that's how we put validation rule if it involves a text. If it involves a text. Right. If there are no questions, let me check. Then I'll move straight to the combo box and then input math. Now, the combo box, we have TBL product and we have TBL suppliers over here. Now, and brand also. Let's say I'm having another field that is maybe gender. Then I want to type the values for gender so that you can choose from, which is lookup. So there are two ways of doing that. You can use lookup wizard, and then you select, I will type in the value that I want. Then you go to next, then you type the values. Male, female, and then prefer not to say. Right. So we have these three options, then you go to finish. So when you click on this lookup properties, we have the general properties and lookup properties. Then you see them here. Display row or display control is a combo box. Row source type is a value list. And then the row source will be the options separated by comma. So that is another way of also inserting it. If you are picking from a table, let's say I have brand, and I want to take the lookup, you go to lookup, and then you change the display control to combo box. Then the row or row source type, it should be table or query. Then the row source, you select your query or the table. Let's say I am going to link it to the table product so that the values will be linked to the value from the table product. So that's how we do combo box if you are picking from another table. Right. Then the input mask. Input mask character sheet, which you need to know them. We have input mask character sheet like L for letter, question mark for optional letter. So L is for composite letter. And then question mark for optional letter. Then we have 0 for compulsory number. And then we have 9 for optional number. And then we have capital A for a letter or digit. That means you can take a letter or a number, and then small a is a letter or digit. That's optional. You need to know this. Even though you'll be giving input mask character sheet. So this is a small a. Then we have ampersand, which is for any character that is compulsory. Then we have capital C, any character that is optional. Then we also have greater than, that converts everything to uppercase. And then we have less than. That changes everything to lowercase. So you need to know all these input mask characteristics. So if you get a question by saying the first one should be a letter, and then followed by, so I'm going to give a simple question for the code. Let's say we have a code, create input mark for the code as follows. Then we have first 3 letters in uppercase, followed by at least 2 or 3 numbers, followed by any character required, and then followed by a letter or digit, optional. Now let's see how we will create this input mask character sheet. The first one says first the 3 letters that are in uppercase. So we know letter we use uppercase we use greater than, and they say 3 letters. So composite letter we use 3L, followed by at least 2 or 3 numbers. Now because of at least, that means the first 2 numbers are compulsory, then the third one is optional because of at least. So the first 2 are compulsory numbers, which is 2 zeros, and the third one is optional because of at least. So the third one will be optional, which is 9, followed by any character required. Any character we use and then followed by a letter or digit, optional. A letter or digit that's optional is small a. So this will be an input mask that will solve this particular. So you have to always refer to your input mark sheet, and then you check what should be there. So watch out for at most, at least. They normally use that one to confuse learners. So you must look at for that. Right. So you always put them under the input mask character sheet, under the input mask properties. So if let's say we put here as code, you type code, then you put that input mask over here. Greater than, which converts everything to uppercase, 3L, and then 2 zeros, 9. Then we have ampersand and then small a. So this should be the input mask character for that particular question. So you have to go through these input marks. Sometimes also they can ask you aside this and then followed by, they can also ask by say followed by the text at Sirantwi.com. So meaning we are adding this one. So you must add this one as in inverted comma, you put that at Sirantwi.com. You add that one in inverted comma. So that is how we add a text to an input mask also. Right, then required, and then also we are done with the combo box. Required property. Required property, they will say must. It should not be left empty. For instance, if you get a question that says you must have a picture, so the picture must not be left empty, meaning that you go to the property and then the required, you choose yes. Now, what it means is that you cannot leave that one empty. It is similar to the primary key. You must always have a data that is typed inside that particular field. Term 1, grade 12, we're not going to talk about calculations in table. That one will be in term 2. So table, we won't talk about calculations also. Now, without wasting much time, let's move straight to queries. And then also we look at form and then report. Form and report, I promise I won't spend much time. That will be the easiest one for me. Now the queries, basically, there are 3 different categories of queries. We have the select query, whereby you need to sort and add a criteria. Then also you can get a question for calculated field, whereby you do calculations in a query, and then also aggregate function. So in most of the text, or even the one that you're gonna have, at least 1 or 2 or 3 of this type of queries will be there. Right, I'm going to start with a select query. Already I have this query QRY to suppliers. Let me open it in datasheet view. Now, let's say you have this question. And the question says, calculate the number of part of wholesale, or find the number of each wholesale part. You know, we have yes and no. So find the number for each. So here you choose the part of wholesale twice. And then you select the total. You see total over here, totals. Then the second group by, when the question says number, you choose count. If the question says find the total only, then use sum. So here we are going to find count of. So imagine you get a question like this with a screenshot like this. And then you see part of wholesale with yes and no. And then you see count of part of wholesale. That means they use aggregate function. Aggregate function. So you see count of. Then they are grouping them. You have to use totals, and then they group by, you choose count. I'm going to have another example for you. Let's say we have different products over here, and we want to find the promo price for each, the average promo price. So you must activate the totals, then the group by under the promo price, because the question says the average promo price. You choose AVG and then you run it. So now you're gonna see over here AVG of promo price. So imagine you get a question of this nature and then you see AVG of. That means they use that aggregate function, which is the totals, to do that. That's aggregate function. There are so many of them that you can also practice on. Now, if I remove this, then it's going to group them. Then you see AVG of. It's not only average. They can have functions like max. So whenever you see max of, that means they use max function for maximum. That's how they calculated it. And we have the select query. Let's say we are going to create a query to show domestos and then also Aquafresh product. So I'm going to create a query that will display, and that query will be based on TBL brand, this one. And we have Bokomo, Oats, and others. So I'm going to create the query. I go to create, then you see query design. And then you double click on the table. TBL, popular brand. Now I want to display the brand name, and I want to display the description and then the price. The question will always tell you what you must choose. Now it will also tell you to maybe sort. Let's say we are sorting according to promo price in descending order. Then it says Aqua Fresh. We must display Aqua Fresh. So you have to run it and see, where do we find Aqua Fresh? You will see that Aqua Fresh is part of the product brand. And how did they type Aqua Fresh? I don't think there's Aqua Fresh here. Okay, this one doesn't have Aqua Fresh. Okay, let's say I want to choose Speckle. I want okay, Speckle, yeah, Speckle. Then I go to the criteria for Speckle or the product brand, and I put the star SPE star. I mean, the Speckle starts with SPE. So I pick the first 3 characters. I put a star before and star after. So it gives me the Speckle only. So it's better you pick the first 3 characters. You put a star before SPE, then you put a star at the end to extract it. Right. Again, let's say I want to add sales on promotion, and then they want Speckle that has an amount that is from 1,000 to 2,000. There is a between 1,000 and 2,000. Remember, we can use those criteria for validation rule, like between, greater than, less than, also as a criteria for database table. So you can use between, greater than, less than. Always you need to watch out for that type of calculations also. Now, I have this query already done for us, which is the product description. Now we need to only display, yes, here, Aquafresh toothpaste that has a promo price or sales on promo price of 2,000 and above for this query. So the product description is Aquafresh. So I can just type star AQUA star. Then run it and see. It's going to give you only Aquafresh. That means contains that one. And the sales one greater than maybe 2,000. We can use the wildcards to be able to extract these. So you need to watch out for this kind of questions, using wildcards and then using also the greater than, the less than, and others. Sometimes we also have what we call null. Null means empty. So they can say null. Null means, let's say, display those that are not empty. Then you say not null. And then those that are empty, you say null. So if I put here, that says null, it's giving me 0 because there's nothing that is null over there. But if I say not null means not empty, then it's going to give me other options over there. So not null and null also. And lastly, we also have less than and greater than. This one refers to not. So when you put less than and greater than together, it means not. It means not. So if I say less than and greater than Sirantwi, that means not Sirantwi. That means excluding Sirantwi. That means must display everything excluding Sirantwi. So you need to watch out for that. They can even ask you that type of question. For instance, not Aquafresh, excluding Aquafresh. So AQUA star. Excluding. Sometimes if it doesn't work, you must use the word not. So meaning excluding Aquafresh, we use that one not. So it's gonna display everything except Aquafresh with something else. Right. That is all about the select query and then grouping or sorting. What about if you get a question that says do calculations? Like we're going to do some calculations over here. Calculated field. We have the sales on promo. And if the question say calculate 10% discount. To do calculations, you right click on an empty space and then you choose build. So if we are calculating 10% of the sales on promotion, we just say 10 divided by 100 times, then you double click on sales on promotion and okay. So when we run it, we are going to see 10% calculated over here. But it says EXPR1 and we don't need EXPR1. We need, let's say, discount. So we delete it and type discount. Don't forget, you are not supposed to delete the column. So you only delete EXPR1, then you have your new calculated field. Right, that is the discount and percentage increase. Let's say we are calculating VAT. Also, you right click and choose build. VAT is 15%, 15 divided by 100 times maybe the promotion, and then you click OK. Then it's going to calculate the VAT amount for you. One interesting calculation that I want us to also take note is, let's say, the logical function. You have done logical function and want to compare. So you right click, you choose build, and we are comparing. When promo price is greater than 500, you click OK. So it's going to give you true or false, which is 0 and 1. The 0 means false, true means what? 1. Now, because here there's no promo price that is more than 500, that's why it's giving us 0. So we could have, let's change it. Okay, less than, okay, greater than 20. There we go. So some are negative and some are positive. So that's how we use the AND function or the OR function. You can compare them also in database. So try your hands on all these, the discount, the discounted price, and others. All those calculations, you must watch out for them also. Now, we move straight to report. Before that, let me check if there are no questions. If there are no questions, I'll move straight to report. Regarding the report, for term 1, you need to know how to create basic report and then how to group report, sort, and do calculations. Now, when you are creating a report, we use report wizard. So we go to create report wizard. And let's say we are creating based on the table called TBL brand. And we need to display the product brand. We need to display the promo price. We need to display non-promo price and sales. Then we go to next. Then do you want to add any grouping? Yes, we want to add grouping according to the brand. You double click over there. Now, there's very interesting part here, which is grouping option. They can give you a grouping option. Maybe you want the promo brand to be grouped with the first letter or the two initial letters. So the first letter, let me choose first letter, which is grouping option. Then you go to next. Then they can ask you to sort. Maybe we are sorting according to promo price. Then if you want to do some calculation, you can go to summary options to do calculations there. Let's say you want to do calculation. That is the average promo price. Then you take AVG under the promo price. Then you click OK. And then you go to next. Let's say you want landscape, and then you click on finish. Now, this is our report to do calculation for average. Now, let me go straight to the design view. There are lots of things that you can do here. What if the report is created for you like this, and they want you to modify them? So this heading here, you can modify them by inserting the logo or an image. They can ask you to insert image. Then you draw the image. Now, if you want the image to fill in, you right click and choose properties. Then you will see size mode. It will take you to zoom. You change it to stretch so that the image will fill into that box. They can ask you to change the width and then the height of the image. Let's say 7 by 3. And then they can ask you whether the image should be visible. You see here it's visible when I go to the other view. Now, if I don't want it to be visible, I go that side, I click on the image, then you see visible. I will just say no, so that the image will not be visible. Even though in design view it is there, but then report view, it is not there. Right. They can ask you to create a hyperlink to this image. You click on it, you see hyperlink address, click there so that you can type your address. So they can ask you to change it to hyperlink. So watch out for the properties. Now, they can also ask you to insert date and time. So you see from report design, date and time. And you can only display maybe the time, not the date, in a specific format. Now it is in the header. Now the question can tell you to take it to the footer. You click on it, you right click and choose cut. You open your report footer and you can right click and choose paste so that it will be in the report footer. Right. And then again, they can ask you to choose conditional formatting. To put a conditional formatting, on the details section, we want to put non-promo price, conditional formatting. When you click on it, you see format, and then you see conditional formatting. If you don't know where to find it, can you tell me what to do? And type conditional formatting. So new rule, let's say we want the rule to be when it is greater than 20, then it should highlight with red color and then OK. So you apply the conditional formatting. Now let's go back to the other view and check. So all the non-promo price that are more than 20, it will be highlighted in green and in red color. So that is how we apply conditional formatting. Don't forget, report and form also we have input mask and validation rule. They can ask you to maybe put input mask and also validation rule in the report. Let's say we are putting a validation rule for sales on promo. You right click and choose properties. Please don't use the one in the header. Then you will see over here, data, and you see input mask. There's input mask. They can ask you to put an input mask also there. And then formatting, we have the decimal, visible, changing to decimal places. You can get all of them there. And data is where you are linking to the source and then running some the input mask and then all those things like required and all those things. They can ask so many questions. Go to the properties and then you go to data or format, you're going to find them there. Lastly, if let's say you have a report already created for you and they want you to modify by grouping and sorting, you can use tell me what to do, then you type group, you see group and sort, then you can now add your grouping and then you can now also add your sorting here. Now to do calculations, where you see the group, you will find an arrow that says more, and then we see with no totals. Click on that with no totals. Then you see totals on. Let's say we want to find the total promo price. You choose sales on promo price, and then the function is sum. Then if the question says for each group, you take here, show subtotal in group footer so that it will be in group footer. So that's how we do calculations in report. What about inserting action button? That one I want to see because I had issue with my software also. Action button like closing and then saving. This or printing, this is action button. And then you draw it. Now, when you draw it, it should give you a pop-up. I think I have a problem here. Let me check from the form in design view. Action button, and then I draw it. Yeah, now you see here it's giving me invalid use of null. I have problem with my software. They need to open for you. So if you want maybe saving, you see record operation, or that I need to update my office. Because it must give you, then you go to next, then you go to finish so that there will be an action button over there so that when you click on whether you want to save it or you want to close the form or the report. So basically, that's how we deal with table, form, and then report. As for form, similar to the report, they can ask you to insert an image. They can ask you to insert or change the properties over here. They can even ask you to change your right-click properties. They can ask you to change the input mask, validation rule, and then also. So if you want to insert validation rule on that, you will see it under the properties for the form or the report. So the validation rule input mask is not only on table, but then also on the report or the form. Now, how do we do calculations in the form? Let's say we want to do calculations in the form to calculate discount of 10%. To do that, you choose the text box, which is A and B. You draw your text box. Then you right-click where it says unbound. You right-click and choose build event. Then you'll find expression builder. Double-click on it. And we do our calculation over here. Let's say we are calculating 10% of this. So it will be 10 divided by 100 times. Then you double-click on promo price. And then OK. Now, when you click OK, you won't see anything here. You will still find unbound. You need to now go and right-click and choose build event. Then you copy your formula. Use Control-C to copy. And then you come and paste it here, Control-V for paste. So go there. My calculation will be there, the 10% for each and every record, there will be 10% calculated on the promo price. Do calculation also on form. There are so many calculations that they can ask you to do, whether average, whether discount, discounted price. So you need to watch out for those ones also. Now, how do you shade the detail section? When you right click, you see fill back color. Let's say to red if you want to fill the detail section. If you want to fill with an image also, you go to format and you see background image, then you can select the background image. So that's how we change the background image of a form or the report. You must go to format, then you'll find them there. And then arrange. Arrange is very, very important for your form or the report. Let's say they want you to have a stack arrangement. You go to arrange, then you choose stack so that everything will be stack arrange. Or you can select all of them and then you choose stack arrange. They can also ask you to change the grid line, horizontal and vertical of the form, which you will find it under arrange or row above or anything. You must find them there. So the form in design, we use form design, arrange, and then format to do anything that the question wants you to do over there. The same applies to the report. Right. That's all for our term one lesson. Now I want to check if there's any question. If there are no questions, I'll end the session here and then you'll get access to this video immediately. Then you go through them. If you need any question, don't forget to add it in the comment section and I'm going to answer your question. All the best those who are writing this week and then also coming weeks. I wish you all the best. Practicals, just follow and practice, then you're going to achieve. Thank you for your precious time. Good night.